Greetings again, my lovely seventh graders. I hope you are enjoying your work from home day. I think at this point I'm probably unpacking and catching up on grading. But I hope you were able to sleep in a little bit today and enjoy some breakfast, and you are maybe sipping some hot cocoa or tea or something while you do your work. Or just eating lots of leftover Halloween candy if you guys do that as a family. Just a couple announcements. If you haven't finished your vocab unit 6 work in your composition notebook yet, you do have some grace to get it completed. I will check that on Thursday when we return to class. And we will also have, and this is your reminder, the spelling test for unit 6 will be on Thursday when we get back. So that's part of your homework, is to study your spelling test words for unit 6. You also are going to hand in the Sherlock Holmes story response worksheet. So remember, you had the graph of the story structure. You're going to draw that on the back of this sheet, and then you're going to respond to the questions that come with the story on there. And so I'll be collecting just this sheet from you guys on Thursday. Today's lesson is on independent and dependent clauses, and we're going to be on page 75 through 77 today. So if you haven't gotten out your red book yet, go ahead and get that out. I'm going to be working through these notes with you guys. So if you need to pause this and get that book out, please do so right now. Hopefully you paused on that facial expression. So let's begin. If your parents are okay with you writing on your skin, one of the things that I found that's helped other students in the past is to actually write on their arms. It's a little memory device. Remember, we talked about it may seem a little dumb, but the more ridiculous it is, the easier your brain will remember it. So I've gone ahead and participated as well. So if you have a pen or a marker handy, on your left hand, you are going to write the word subject, okay? You will know why here in a minute. Just do it. Follow me blindly. Write subject. And you can choose to write it on the inside if that just helps you see it better. Okay, I did it this way because it's hard for me to stand here like this. Okay, so once you've got subject, lovely, on your left hand, on your right arm, you're going to write verb. Look at that. Left-handed on the back of my arm. Impressive, isn't it? I've also got it on the front. So again, you can write it here. That'll help you see it a little bit better. I just have it here and here so I can keep showing you guys like this. Power fists, okay? Now, the memory device that always helped me was the idea of independent and dependent clauses. What makes up a clause? Okay, and I always think of Santa Claus. Christmas is my favorite season. One, because we celebrate Christ invading our world and the beginning of the end to our sin's dominion over us, and that's a pretty big deal. And then second, everything about Christmas is wonderful, from the music to the decorations, okay? So one of the cultural parts of Christmas in America is Santa Claus. And so he's going to help us remember, okay? Whenever you see Santa really throw his head back and laugh with gusto, okay? He holds his belly, okay? He holds his belly with both hands, like that, okay? And Santa is a very substantial individual traditionally in our culture. So the way that we're going to remember what makes up a clause is that Santa uses both his left hand and his right hand to hook onto his belt and hold his belly in while he laughs, okay? I don't know, maybe it keeps the belt from snapping or the buttons from popping. But we have to remember that Santa needs both hands to hold his belly when he laughs. He needs his subject and his verb. That's what makes up a clause. Subject and a verb. Okay, so keep that in mind as we fill in our first definition on page 75. Okay, you have your sentence with your blanks there. It says a blank is a group of words that has a blank and a blank. Here are your blanks. A clause is a group of words that has a subject and a verb. Right there. That's what qualifies it as a clause. Regardless of what kind of clause it is, it has a subject and a verb. Okay. We have two examples there. The first one is Indonesia includes more than 13,600 islands. It's a lot of islands. Okay, and if you look in this group of words, we know that this is a clause because we can answer the question, what is being talked about here? Indonesia. Okay, that's our subject right there. You can write a little S above the word Indonesia. And then what's our verb? What is our action, existence, linking, or helping combined with an action verb? It's includes. So put a little V above includes. Indonesia includes. There's our subject, this side, subject and verb set working together. Okay. The second is like it. When Indonesia won its independence. Now, you may hear right off the bat that you don't know everything you need to know to make a complete thought. We'll get to that. But what I do want you to see here is that we have the same subject again. What are we talking about? Indonesia. Okay. And what is our action, our existence, or our linking verb there? Well, it's an action verb. It won. Indonesia won its independence. So put a little V above one, S above Indonesia. So you can see right there, there is our subject and verb set. Both of those are clauses. Okay. So the little exercise right there, which of the following are clauses and which of the following are merely phrases, right? C for clause and P for phrase. Okay, I want you to pause the video right here. Pause. Okay, and fill out 1 through 5. And when you are ready, click back in and start the video. So to go through these real quickly, I want to make sure you guys got the right answers. Okay, for the first one, hopefully you recognized right away that it begins with a preposition. Okay, and you have your prepositional phrase there. Number 1, around the corner is simply a phrase. Okay. Number 2, unlike his brother Joey, you have something that could be a subject, but we don't have it paired with a verb, and it's following, again, another preposition. So we actually know that's not a subject, it's an object of the preposition. This is a phrase. Number 3, after I went through the door. We have a subject and verb set there. Who are we talking about? I, and then what's our verb? Went. I went. So we have a clause. Number 4, my sister loves avocados. True story. She actually sent me a picture of how to look like an avocado as a pregnant woman for Halloween. It's a very interesting costume. So my sister loves avocados. Sister being the subject and loves being the verb. We have a clause there. Number 5, running around the mulberry bush. We're missing something there. We know mulberry bush can't be the subject because it's part of a prepositional phrase. Subjects can never be found in prepositional phrases. And we're not sure if running is a verb or if it is a verb acting as an adjective, participles, and those are things we will learn about next year. Suffice it to say, we do not have a subject and verb set here. So we know that that is simply a phrase. So hopefully you got a thumbs up on that. So moving on to our next blanks. An independent clause has a subject and a verb. So now we're talking about independent. That's your first blank. An independent clause has a subject and a verb, and it forms a complete thought. Okay, so let me read that one more time. An independent clause has a subject and a verb, and it forms a complete thought, meaning it can stand alone. Okay, so this is the Papa Claus, the Santa Claus in the family. It has its subject, has its verb, and it can stand alone. I even drew a little picture, if this helps you. On my independent clauses, I drew a little Papa Santa. Okay, see, he's holding his belly there with both hands. My Papa Santa also looks a little bit like Hagrid with a frilly skirt from a popular book series. So I'm sorry for my drawing skills there, but you kind of get the picture. Okay, it can stand alone. I think of this as the Papa Clause or the Parent Clause because just like once you are an adult or a parent, you have the ability to buy a house, you can rent a car, you can vote, you can do all those things independently. Okay, you don't need anyone else to come with you to complete those things. Same thing with an independent clause. It can stand alone. It doesn't need any help from any other clause to make sense, to make a complete thought. So if we go back to the first of those 2 example sentences, it's written again down here. Indonesia includes more than 13,600 islands. We know our subject is Indonesia. We know our verb is include, so we know it is a clause. And then if we ask ourselves, do I need to know anything else about this group of words for it to make sense, to make a complete thought? Well, the answer is no. So we know that this is an independent clause. It can stand completely on its own. So now you guys get to practice, okay? You have 1 through 7 right there. The following are all clauses, but which of them are independent? You're going to investigate, can they stand alone or not? Okay, so if you look at number 1, you simply read the sentence to yourself. Matt likes to go bowling on Saturdays. Maybe you do too. Okay, and then you ask yourself, what's the subject? What is this talking about? What's the verb? And then, do you need to know more? If you write in no on that little line there, then you put a little check mark, okay, over towards number 1 because that qualifies as an independent clause. If you write down, yes, I need to know more, then put a little X next to the number because that shows it is not an independent clause. So go ahead and pause. And then when you are done filling out 1 through 7, we'll go through that together. So for number 1, Matt likes to go bowling on Saturdays. Our subject is Matt. Our verb is likes. Do we need to know more? No, that makes sense on its own. We understand the point of the sentence. So that is an independent clause. We put a little check mark over by number 1. Number 2, when I go to the grocery store, subject, who are we talking about? I. What is I doing? Go. I go. Do you need to know more? Well, if I went up to you and said, when I go to the grocery store, you are left wanting more. So this is not an independent clause. Put an X by number 2. Number 3, ducks like to swim. Yes, they do. Subject is ducks. Verb is likes. Do you need to know more? No. Very straightforward. You have an independent clause here. Check mark. Number 4, as soon as we write the permission slip for your brother to get out of school, long group of words. If you were tempted to say it is an independent clause just because it's long, do not make that mistake. Okay? We do have our subject verb set, we and write, but do you need to know more? Yes. We don't know what happens after we write the permission slip. Okay? So this is not an independent clause. Number 5, the book is read. Very straightforward. Very short. Subject is book. Verb is. Do we need to know more? Nope, that sentence makes sense on its own. So we have a check mark. Number 6, the closet was full to the brim. The subject is closet. Verb is was. Do you need to know more? Nope, that sentence makes sense. You can picture that closet in the completeness of that thought. So check mark. And number 7, because the party was not until 8 o'clock. We're talking about the party. That's your subject. Your verb is was. But do you need to know more? Yes. We need to know what's connected to that thought about because the party was not until 8 o'clock. What did you do before then? So X, not a complete thought. So go ahead and flip over to dependent clauses. This is the other member of the clause family. So just like Papa Claus, it will have a subject and a verb in it, okay? But it is dependent. Just like right now, you guys, as children in your family, are dependent on your parents. You can't own a credit card. You can't go vote. You can't buy a house on your own. You are dependent on the parent in order to exist in the world. Same thing with a dependent clause, okay? I drew a little picture of my baby clause here. See if you can see my baby. It kind of looks like a grub with hair. Again, drawing skills going on there. But it's the baby clause. It cannot stand on its own. So here's your definition. A dependent clause has a subject and a verb, but it does not express a complete thought. It cannot stand alone. And here's the last blank in that section there. It's also often accompanied by a subordinating conjunction. Okay? Actually, pretty much always, unless the dependent clause is in the middle of another independent clause. We'll get there, okay? So if we go back to that original example sentence on page 75, the second one said, when Indonesia won its independence. We know it's talking about Indonesia. The verb is won, but notice the word at the very beginning of that, when. When Indonesia won its independence. Put a little box around the word when. That is a subordinating conjunction right there, okay? And those subordinating conjunctions, what they do is if you would take away when and it says Indonesia won its independence, yay, that makes sense on its own. A subordinating conjunction is like a little parasite, and it finds what normally would be an independent clause and goes, and it sucks onto it and makes it so it doesn't make sense on its own. You need more information to complete that thought, okay? So now it's your turn. Looking through 1 through 11, they are either phrases or groups of phrases, or they are a dependent clause. So what I want you to think through is, again, can you find that subject and verb set? And can you then differentiate if you can't find it? This is a phrase. At this point, you don't have to tell me what type of phrase, because some of them will be phrases we haven't covered yet, and we won't until next year. But you want to, again, look for that subject and verb set. So go ahead and do 1 through 11. If it helps, cross out prepositional phrases. We have covered those, and that will help you not make the mistake of trying to find a subject inside a prepositional phrase. Okay, those are things like over, under, on, above, below, around and through, in and out, and up and down. You get the point. Okay, so take your time, pause that video, and then come back in and we'll go over the answers. All right, so number 1, right away we want to get rid of all those prepositional phrases. So we can cross out with your mother and sister, gone. See you, mother and sister. And to dinner tonight, cross that out. Okay. And then we also have something in there. If you guys remembered, we talked about infinitives briefly with our prepositional phrases, and that is the word to followed by a verb. Okay. It's called an infinitive. So to go out, we can cross that out as well, because we're not going to find the subject in this case, in this particular group of words right there. Okay, so we're left with because you want. Much, much easier. Our subject is you, our verb is want, so we see right away we have a clause, part of the family. Subject, verb, verb. Okay, number 2, running down the lane with the speed of a cheetah. Hopefully this is describing you and your running skills, okay? We can cross out prepositional phrases. Of a cheetah, gone. With the speed, gone. Down the lane, gone. We're left with the word running. And we don't know if that's a verb or if that's a participle or if it's a gerund. And you're like, participles, gerunds, I don't even know what those are. The point is we do not have a subject and verb set here, so we know that that's a phrase, okay? Number 3, if we cross out all the prepositional phrases, we would cross out past the corner store, around the lane, and then from the bakery. Those are 3 prepositional phrases together. We have no subject, no verb. Clearly, these are just phrases together. Number 4, until the clock strikes 12. Subject, the clock, verb, strikes. We have a clause on our hands and on our arms. Okay. Number 5, competing in an Ironman or triathlon. We can cross out right away prepositional phrase in an Ironman or triathlon, gone. No clear subject and verb set, so we have a phrase here. Number 6, as long as you finish your chores and give your mama a kiss. Very important. Kiss your mama, tell her you're thankful for her. Okay, and number 6, our subject is you. Okay, it's a command at this point, imperative voice. And then verbs, there's 2 of them. You finish, and then we have a compound verb there. We have the conjunction and. So finish and give. Those are both things that you should be doing, the action in the clause. So a subject-verb set, it is a clause. Number 7, after we take tea with the Queen and the Duke of Chutney. Be a very formal affair. Okay, we cross out the prepositional phrase with the Queen and the Duke of Chutney, gone. That helps us narrow it down. We see that our subject is we and our verb is take. This is a clause. Okay, number 8, unlike her little brother Joey. That whole thing is a prepositional phrase, gone, put a little P. Number 9, that you should take someone's food and eat it. Okay, if they didn't give you permission, don't do that. Okay, so our subject is you, and verbs are should take and eat, so we have a clause. Number 10, to do both ballet and to run track during the fall and spring. Okay, in this case, we have a compound set of infinitive phrases, and we're not sure how they're functioning in this sentence. So, we have a phrase, okay? 11, although he loves to eat tomatoes. Hopefully he's not allergic to them if he loves them so much. Subject being he, and then verbs is loves. We have our subject verb set, so therefore we have a clause, okay? If you were struggling with this, I want you to stop and go back through, work through it with a parent until you can really see, okay, I can identify the subject and see it paired with the verb. Subject, verb. Kung Fu fighting, okay? It's really important that if you can't identify that yet, you take the time over today and Wednesday to nail that down. Go back to your parts of speech unit if you need to. I think subject and verb, if I look at that up, okay, subjects are on page 45 and verbs start on page 39, just to help you review. Your homework, study for your spelling test, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and complete, let me line it up here, complete simply working through the 5 sentences on page 77. Okay, we're going to I'm going to check those for accuracy when I see you guys on Thursday. So enjoy the rest of your day, and good luck with the lesson.